There's two parts of the brain, the cerebrum and the cerebellum. We could call them the big brain and the little brain. Even though the little brain is small, it's the older one. The little brain looks like spaghetti noodles, while the big one looks like jello. These two brains talk to each other. The little brain sends signals from Purkinje cells in its cortex down to its center, called the deep cerebellar nuclei. Then, the signals go to the thalamus and onto the cortex of the big brain. The big brain sends signals from pyramidal cells in layer 5 of its cortex down to the pontine nuclei in the brainstem, and then onto granule cells in the cerebellar cortex, and finally all the way to the Purkinje cells of the cerebellum. It sounds like a lot, but it's basically just two brains connected in a big circle. There's also a structure in the brainstem, called the inferior olive, that sends signals to the cerebellum, to those same Purkinje cells. Here's a diagram. Get really nitty-gritty with it if you want, but we'll come back to it later. Let me show you what's going on in the cerebellar cortex with those Purkinje cells, looking really close. The power line looking things are parallel fibers coming off the granule cells. These are carrying the signals from the cerebrum. The neon green are climbing fibers, coming from the inferior olive. These have a powerful zap. The black cells are Purkinje cells, and you can see they have wide, flat branching dendrites to collect signals. Let me give you another look. Here, the red are the granule cells and parallel fibers. Green are the Purkinje cells. Blue are another one called Bergman glia cells. You might be able to see little green roots coming down off the Purkinje cells. Those are its axons, carrying signals to the deep cerebellar nuclei. Well, here's the nitty-gritty diagram I promise. What we have here is 40 Hz signals coming from cerebrum, 212 Hz coming from inferior olive, and a complex patterning of increases and decreases in frequency from deep cerebellar nuclei back to cerebrum. What if the cerebellum is positioning everything just right inside perceptual space, with a basic snapshot of these translucent positioning skins getting taken and sent to the cerebrum every 212 times a second? When inferior olive and granule neurons fire on a Purkinje cell at the same time, it gets shut up, which they call long-term depressed. It stops firing, but since its signal was inhibitory anyway on the deep cerebellar nuclei, it ends up being a good thing because it means high-frequency signals can get sent to cerebrum. If you have Parkinson's, or have gotten really high, or have been without sleep, you might have noticed that things got jerky. Maybe even like you could see the snapshots, and maybe their alignment with the real world was lagging. That might be the whole point of the cerebellum, to make these snapshots of 3D scans of your body or of things you're thinking about or even of the world around you. When you're sober, the snapshots line up perfectly, and you don't notice them. But when things get off whack, you see them. We could even call these a fundamental part of perception, the frames of consciousness. Think of it like this. The cerebellum has these little layouts of your body, looking from 3 different angles. They could be mapping the 3D spots where each part of your body and environment is each moment. They could be making a perceptual space. Then, when you walk somewhere, you pull the world through your perceptual space. It's like you are tethered to your cage of perceptual space. To sum up, your cerebellum seems to make or align 3D scans with the imagery of your cerebrum. Without it, we lose the ability to think or move with precision within perceptual space.